Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. And here we are. We're going to look at, let me just bring that light down a bit, shining on that light. That's it. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is part 3 of the question and answer interview with Peter Faulding. And yeah, it's been interesting going through it again, hasn't it? It's good to go back over it because obviously that video has disappeared now off Luke's channel for whatever reason that he's taken it down. So, but it's good to look back and see, understand a bit more about what Peter's got to say. You know, the good things and the bad things. I mean, at the end of the day, when you do a question and answer session, a public question and answer session like that, you know, you have to expect some examination, really. And I hope people say, I'll try and be fair. I'm not trying to dish Peter. I'm not trying to dish Luke. I'm just trying to listen to the questions that people sent in and hear his answers. And then, you know, I'll comment on what I think and you make up your mind what you think. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So we'd got to, this is where we'd got to. This is exactly where we'd got to. Let's have a look.
You need to do right now with what you just said is apologise. A lot of people needed that. A lot of people wanted to hear that, and it's a very eloquent letter, and well said. Thumbs up on the video. I want to get this to 1,000.
So Peter had just read out that quite a long letter. But anyway, he had a lot to say that he'd written to the police. And of course, you can always go back, and if you've missed it, I've made just a little playlist I'm making with this question and answer session. So you can go back and watch that in part 2. Up to now, we've gone through almost an hour and a half of the video, which in total was 3.5 hours. So I think there'll still be 2. There'll be one more, definitely one more after this. I don't think there'll be 2 more. I'll try and fit it in now to just 2 more videos. So we'll end up with 4 parts. So Peter, we could see, you know, he's not very happy with the way he's been treated by the police. I think that's the root of it all, really. And, you know, as far as the other thing is concerned about whether he found Nicola or not, that's just a question whether you believe it or not. In my eyes, you know, everybody will have their own view on that. But one thing I think that we can be certain of is he's aggrieved. He's been treated badly by the police. He was cut off by the family. You know, that's quite relevant in my eyes. You know, unless the family one day come out and stick up for Peter, because at the end of the day, it was them that got in touch with him and asked him to come along, and then they cut him off, didn't they? So I think that's quite relevant, you know, without saying too much about what I think. I think, you know, the thing is Peter and the police are arguing and a bit at odds with each other, but it just makes you wonder, has everyone been manipulated? Anyway.
Thumbs up.
Can I just use the bathroom a second, please? I'll be 2 minutes.
No, you're not allowed. You need to get a nappy on.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll just right, guys. So yeah, while Peter's not here, thank you everybody. Thank you to the moderators. You're all doing a really, really good job. Look at that Christmas tree. That is class. Yeah. Cheers for the support for the channel, for my friend Peter Faulding, who is a very honest guy. Like I said, I would not be sat here if I thought otherwise.
So I think Luke did well, because this was a very long interview, so he did well in that, in keeping it going. I think there were some times, especially when Peter was reading out the letter, that that must have been quite difficult for him. But anyway, he is holding it together.
Guys, I just want to let people know now, while I'm on my own chatting to you guys, how am I going to entertain you? Should I do a little dance? No. So I think Peter did mention that there is a documentary that we made together Back in July, it's like I spent 2 or 3 days with Peter Faulding. You can see his family life, his animals. We went to Specialist Group International. I actually met the guys that searched for Nicola Bully. I've seen some of the sonar equipment myself. They are legit elite professionals. Also, anyone that's not subscribed to this channel yet, well, go and hit that subscribe button. Oh, he's back. Go and hit that subscribe button. I've got much more content coming out. And just before we continue, Peter, I do have memberships on my channel, but what I give for my memberships is more than most channels will give.
Well, there you go. You'll soon find out about that. But just something I wanted to mention, which occurred to me this morning, because in the video, in part 2 video, when Peter was on his computer and showing some pictures that he wanted to show, it didn't feel like he was particularly techie. And it makes me wonder if on his social media, etc., is it him who's actually controlling his social media, or is somebody else controlling his social media? And I would just say to Peter, if they are, then they perhaps should have a word with them about not manipulating it, because that casts aspersions over his honesty, sincerity. You know, with people who do know about social media, they spot things a mile off when posts disappear or are changed, or, you know, and I think that's important for Peter's reputation, personally, that his social media is not seen to be tampered with, seen to be manipulated. If he's trying to give over, like, you know, an impression of being a solid, honest, respectable person. Of course, he must be quite technology minded because of the sonar images. You know, I mean, how complicated are they? I don't know. Or are they quite straightforward? You know, I really just don't know. Just something that occurred to me is there like a team of people, you know, keeping an eye on his social media, etc. He does make some reference somewhere to something like that, but it may be in these last 2 halves, because he does get quite a lot more voluble when he has a few whiskies, which fair enough, that don't we all?
I'm not just going to give you a shout out. I'm not just going to do a priority reply. We have Member Mondays where I give a lot of time to do fun and games and quizzes and prizes, and basically a good time away from the darker stuff.
I'd just say that I don't think that is necessarily true now, but you have to check that out with Luke. So all I'm saying is I don't want you to be watching this and thinking, oh, you know, and expecting that from Luke's channel, because that won't be fair to him, because things have changed since then, of course, because he's taken down this video and changed the way he's you know, he's obviously rethinking his sort of channel format. So that you'll have to check with him.
And it's just more fun and games. Go and check out the membership area. So thank you guys for that.
Great.
Peter is back. No nappy needed. Here we go.
No,
right.
Needed.
Question 23.
Doesn't look very happy about that.
Week.
Wait, I wish
I was just saying to my wife,
I could just grab you. Like that.
I was just saying, do you recognise this plant pot, Luke? It's the one you left down here when you came down.
Hey!
I know. It's the one you left me. There you go. There you go. Thanks. I can't drink out of a square cup though. It's a bit awkward.
Peter stole my cup.
Yeah, that's right. You left it here. Go on.
Right. So I forgot about that. Right. Okay. 23 or 50. Damn. Right. Let's get serious again. So,
20.
Have you been asked to not retrieve a body?
We're only up to 23 out of 50. Dear me.
On a previous case before?
No. And like I said, look, this was Northwest Underwater Search Unit's area, so it would be quite normal for them to dive a target. That's fair comment. Whenever we work across the southeast, we sort of covered a huge area over the years. You know, we covered Essex, Kent, Surrey, Sussex, Thames Valley, and Hampshire police dive areas for murders, for retrieving evidence from bodies, and I would say averaging 10 drowning victims a year. And in 2016 alone, we had 16 drownings, unfortunately, within 8 weeks in the hot summer. So we do this a lot, and we always recover because the police call us. You know, we work alongside the police, and then we recover the evidence, and hand the evidence, handle the evidence, do everything for them. So we don't, because there is a lack of underwater search units in the UK. I think there's about 10 left now, so there's hardly any left in the UK now.
Well, there you go. That's the starving of services again. I'll tell you what, you have what this government has done to Britain. So I think this is key in all these things. The lack of resources, the lack of funding, and it's just got worse and worse and worse. And I think it's key in a lot of these sort of cases. And the police are underfunded, overworked, can't cope. I think that's and actually Peter has referenced this a couple of times, because I suppose he will know, because he's worked in this area for a long time, and he will have seen how it's changed over the years. And it's sort of it's due to, a lot of it is due, or let's say a factor. So it's not all due to underfunding, I doubt that, but it'll be a factor in this. So, and just a total anecdotal thing from when I was in class this morning. The student that I had this morning, let's put it this way, he's a lawyer and he works with developments in the UK. So if somebody wants to develop an area, they will go to him, and he will tell them, he will guide them through the planning permissions they need, whatever grants are available from the government. And these are massive, but, we're not talking about just somebody building a house. We're talking about an estate of houses or a shopping centre. They're big projects, huge projects, multi-million projects. And he was telling me that a lot of these companies, they just won't do anything at the moment, because last year the government changed the law 4 times on certain sort of building restrictions or grants or planning permissions. 4 times all the rules were changed, everything was changed. And so what's happening is now big companies, they're terrified of getting into, and they're not all big, huge, they're largish, and they're British companies, and they're too scared because to undertake projects, because they don't know if the law's just going to change right under their feet. So instead of because they're losing money, they're investing the money, millions of pounds sometimes, and then everything's changing, so they can't do what they've already paid so much money to do. They haven't finished the project, but they've started the project, they've invested in it, and in the end, when they lose money. So what they're doing is they just won't do it at the moment until things. Well, I think they're waiting for an election. Of course, now it's election year, so it's been bad enough with the government that they've had changing everything. It has been one thing after another. It hasn't been a steady. Seeing how the massive majority that Boris Johnson won, it's not been a steady government, has it? It's been change after change. 3 prime ministers. All the ministers, government ministers, changing every 30 seconds, different minister in charge. So anyway, he was telling that. So it's interesting. So I think it's, just an example of the decline of Britain, to be honest, unfortunately. And I don't want to see Britain decline. I want to see Britain improve, but I don't think it will under this government. But it's interesting the things Peter has said about funding. And so there's hardly any dive teams left. I mean, isn't that awful, really? Because if that was your loved one, you would want someone out there looking for them.
probably that should. Do we need more of them around the country? I think
we need more resources. At the end of the day, the police are lacking resources now. That's why crimes aren't getting solved, because there's less and less police officers. There's more strain on that. I got many good friends in the police, and one was round for dinner 2 weeks ago. Very quite senior people. They're stretched. They're now having to investigate different types of crime, online crime, where there was no online crime, child abuse, and this sort of stuff. And everything's sadly on the increase. So they're fighting a losing battle. Really, they haven't got the numbers that they used to have. And
see, and also they haven't. Not only they haven't got the numbers they used to have, but they haven't got the quality of officers that they used to have, because nobody wants to be a policeman because everybody hates them. I think there's too much police bashing, to be honest. And I do think Peter seems to agree with that, doesn't he? But in his own way, he's bashing the police. So it's a very strange situation. So it's like, he's obviously, got friends in the police. But now is it just the northern police? Is it a north and south divide type thing? I mean, it's strange, isn't it, incongruous that he seems to be so sort of friendly with the police in one way, but then he's got, there's something has happened in this particular case, and it does make you wonder, is everybody being manipulated by somebody completely different? Is that what's going on?
They're different departments having to handle more things, and that's from the horse's mouth.
A shame really.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Right, 24, 25.
Oh, sorry, and just going back to that, yes, online. This is a new thing, isn't it? Online crime. I think the police are struggling to cope with online crime, and he mentioned child abuse, which of course has always happened, but of course now it's online. It's a different. Everything's changed. I don't think the police have kept up with it for many reasons, one of which being funding.
So we'll 24 or 50, but then we'll have a little break. Number 24, was Nick on the sonar images, was Nicola lying towards the riverbank or away from the riverbank?
It was away. It was away from the riverbank. It was against there's a sandbank, but facing outwards,
like out into the river.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I think that sums that question not quite simply. Okay, 25. Do you know if Nicola's injuries were typical of a drowning victim?
No, I've got no. I can't comment on that. I mean, drowning victims normally we don't have injuries. Normally, I've never had injuries on a drowning victim. Normally, we retrieve them.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it? Now, he's funny, Peter, because he always says, "Oh, I don't want to comment on that," and then he comments because he likes to chat. So he does like to talk, and so he said, "I don't want to comment," but then he said, "I've never found injuries on a drowning victim," and of course, we know that Nicola had significant injuries. So that's telling, really, isn't it? That he's saying, gosh, just makes this case so much even more confusing, doesn't it, really?
So you get fluids out the nose and out the mouth, but they're not, unless they've hit things underwater, you wouldn't expect to see injuries on a drowning victim. No, unless they've fallen from a great height, then you could have head injuries.
Well, she didn't fall from a great height, and that river is not like, it's not like falling into the rapids or whatever.
But that's why these things are always sealed off as potential crime scenes. You've got to look. Yeah. We had a chap once who put a rucksack full of bricks on his back and handcuffed, tied his hands together with tie wraps and jumped in the river. You don't know if he was initially was he tied up and put in there, or eventually it was proved he'd done it himself. But it was one of these things, so you never know, and that's why you have to be suspicious.
Had he done it himself? I mean, people do things like that, I know. But yeah, it really is a minefield, isn't it? This whole thing, it's very difficult.
Of everything until proven differently.
Okay, well that's 25 to 50.
I'm okay to carry on, Luke.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna make a cup of coffee. So
you can make a cup of coffee. What do you want?
Hey,
I can talk.
Well, just tell people a bit more about the.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I've mentioned about. Obviously, we both mentioned about that documentary that we made in July.
Yeah.
But there's also a kind of sub documentary that I made about SGI.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So give me 2 minutes. You talk about that documentary.
Okay.
It's viewable on my channel, and
okay, that's fine.
I'll be back in a jiffy, as they say.
Okay, so I formed SGI 1995, and we're down there. So we're based in Dorking in Surrey. We've got 6 industrial units. We've got a big fleet of vehicles, and we have a full-time team there. And we've got our own control room, and the team, work from the base. They're on call at night. We got our underwater search. We've got all our rope rescue vehicles. So the team do a lot of climbing. We've got a big fleet of boats as well, different size boats, 2 big 10-meter cabbage rigid inflatables, patrol boats. We've got a big lifeboat. We've got a number of other boats as well. We got our own helicopter. So we got all sorts of kit, really, a bit like Thunderbirds, and millions of pounds worth of equipment that we've built up over the years. So we've been involved in so many different cases. Those of you, there's a lot of documentaries made. If you go on and look at the Peter Tobin search, the serial killer, I was the one with my team on that. We actually searched the complete house in Bathgate in Scotland on that for, as it was, Lothian and Borders Police then. So we searched the house up there for Vicky Hamilton and Dinah Nicole, and then down in Southsea. And my good friend Lucy Syburn, the forensic archaeologist, she eventually located both bodies in the gardens in a house in Margate in Kent. I've worked on.
Yeah, the Peter Tobin case. I think I've done a video on that somewhere along the line. I'm pretty sure that I did on a serial killer Sunday. Yeah, particularly nasty person, Peter Tobin, but they did find. I think they suspected that there are still victims out there, but they did find the 2 that Peter mentions there.
On April Jones case. I've worked on so many, Sarah Benford, all around the UK with my team over the years. But again, it's not just underwater search, but I say where we lead on one particular aspect is we have the best available equipment for underwater search. We've got remote operated vehicles, we've got magnetometers, we've got ground radar for looking through on land, looking for buried bodies under patios and things like that. So it's not just water search. And my team have been diving today, and those who follow us on social media, then I'll be on Specialist Group International on my page, will be putting the pictures up tomorrow of that diving as well. So we train constantly, so the team are keeping their skills.
Yeah, no, what you just said there makes me wonder if, like what I was saying earlier, he said my page will be putting them up. He's probably has got other people doing his social media.
Up, all the time, which is really, really important to stay at the sort of sharp end, be the best out there. We take pride in what we do. We take pride in our equipment, and that's why our vehicles are always bright and shiny. They're clean. They're mainly ex-military people who we employ, ex-firefighters and ex-police. But he's back now, so I can be quiet and I'll let him read.
Shiny, happy vehicles. I've been inside in the elite vehicles.
Yeah.
They are good. SGI was quite an experience going to see SGI, actually.
Yeah.
Right, so we're just going to crack on, yeah?
Please do.
I can't believe you're drinking out of my mug.
No,
it's more in it.
Plant pot. Go on, Luke.
It is pretty funny, actually. Right, 26. Okay. How would you have taken Nicola? Let me rephrase that. How would you have taken Nicola's body out of the river if you were able to recover? How would you have done that, protocol-wise?
Well, whenever you recover a body, you firstly brief the police that you've located a body. then you always, without fail, put a crime scene tent up. So we carry, we got 2 or 3 of them, but we always put a special tent up, which is a framed tent right next to the water source. Because what happens when a body's recovered, and I'll go into that bit in a minute, you put them out of the way of any, you firstly clear the media out of the way, you cone off the, you keep everyone away before the body's even recovered. And then it goes into a sterile area where the crime scene CSI can then come in to do their job to, check the body, to make sure there's no, nothing in their pockets, and search them, and also check for injuries. It's really, really important. So the way a body's recovered now, if it's a murder victim, it's done obviously totally different. Now, we know if it's a drowning because we get witness drownings, a missing teenager in a river. We know they've drowned. So
that's funny, because he's saying if it's a murder victim, it's dealt with differently. But of course, you don't know initially, do you? You don't know if it's a murder victim or not. So really, I think he goes on to say here that, if somebody's actually seen them jump into the water, but then they could be just saying that they've seen them jump into the water. So I suppose, I don't know, they treat them differently. Well, should they just treat everyone the same? I don't know.
It's a matter of just recovering a body to the side, but we've got a special net, which is like a forensic net, very fine mesh. So
Okay.
what we do is then wrap the body. If it depends where it is, but normally, we've got special body bags as well, mesh corners. So if it's underwater, you put the body in the bag, and as the body comes out, then the actual water can run out through the mesh, so you're not losing any evidence. We've also got a body recovery stretcher made of mesh, so that it's important to keep the evidence. Then it will go into a stretcher if it was down a bank, a hard stretcher, and then the body would then be respectfully lifted into the tent, and then it would normally be left for the crime scene investigator, the CSI, to come along and unzip the bag and then go through their process. Sometimes we then might roll the body over for them to check for marks, because obviously that's clean. If it's suspicious, they need to check marks. If there's just one guy witnessed it or whoever, then the body's checked for different marks and so on. And then if it was a murder, then the whole area would be metal detected as well. We'd use an underwater metal detector to make sure there's no hammers been thrown in, or knives, and if you look at the not Colin Chapman, there's a couple of documentaries, Killer at the Crime Scene, where I found the knife at the Walton murders. I forget his name now, I can't remember, but there's a lot of documentaries made where we recovering evidence, worth a watch if you're into this sort of stuff. So it has to be done methodically. You can't just steam in there. You can't just put a body without a bag. It must be bagged, because you're going to lose the evidence, and it's not nice. You don't want bodies being seen by people, because now with drones, it's a horrible thing, even for us to.
Yeah, and that's it again, goes back, doesn't it, to the fact that whether it was a crime scene or not, the scene of where Nicola disappeared was not cordoned off. So right from the first day, with all those people there, anyone could have seen Nicola being found and taken out of the water. If they were so convinced she was in the water, why wasn't it cordoned off? Whether they thought it was foul play or not, just can't have people, watching that.
To have to deal with, and it's not pleasant. So it's very tough, and you just need to think of the family and think of that there's someone's loved one here. And that's why it's so important to get a body out the water early, because if they're left then unfortunately they decompose and they're not in a good state when they come out.
Well, unfortunately that's exactly what happened according to him.
Fair enough, Peter. Thank you for clearing that up. Next question. If you trusted the search divers when you were told that your target was negative, why did you?
I feel like he realised when he said that he probably shouldn't have said that, because it does sound at odds as to what happened.
You go back to check again?
Because that's the sort of person I am. I just wanted to go back and just search that area to see if it had moved, because what my concern was that maybe they've gone negative and maybe the target's moved down the river, because like I said before, it could be a floating target. So once the body decomposes, it can float off. Although the current was extremely slow, it could still be disturbed. Even the towfish could disturb it. We disturbed a chap once who drowned in Cambridgeshire in a lake in Ely. It was years, 15 years ago. And he went down in the weed, and we disturbed him with the towfish we couldn't search with the sonar, but where we initially got it caught up in the weed, we moved him around a bit. So Nicola could have been disturbed by the towfish activity, and technically she could have moved. So that's why we went back.
Okay. On the sonar images, to your knowledge, your opinion, was Nicola's coat still on?
I can't tell.
Can't tell.
I can't tell. I can't see clothing on the sonar. You can't see clothing on it. You can just see the shape, but you can clearly see the shape. And all the other victims who've got the clothes on, you can't see their clothes. You can't see facial features, but you can see clearly a head. You can see the arms. You can see all sorts, but you can't see
Well, you can see feet, according to Debbie Davis.
What I'm trying to say is you can't see the.
You can see the outline of a body.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, without doubt, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can measure it.
I can vouch for that.
Yes, you can.
Right, 29. Have you made any mistakes from this that you think that you could learn from?
Only talking to the media, I suppose. I've not made any mistakes that I know of on this job.
Yeah, he doesn't like admitting that he made mistakes, does he? Unfortunately, no. He said only talking to the media. Well, at least he's admitting that was a mistake.
My only regret was talking to the media. My search was, and my team search was 100%. We done what it says on the tin. We went there, we located, and that's what we do, and that's what we're good at.
Yeah. Absolutely. So just the media, talking to the media then.
Yeah.
Which maybe so.
And I'll be fair, Luke. I'll hold my hands up to that. I become the face of the search. I shouldn't have been, because the police should have had control of it. And like I said, if one person just said, rather than hammer me, because I thought.
Yeah, I do think he's true there. He became the face of the search, but he's probably now, when he looks back, he can probably at the time maybe just wasn't aware of what was going on. But I still think he should have known not to speak to the media. But he was sort of left to do it. Where were the police controlling the media? I mean, for someone like me who didn't really know that much about him before this, it looked like he was in charge of everything, so that's how it came over, wasn't it? It was odd, really, when you think about it now. But you see, I do feel that Peter maybe should have realised that, but maybe he was just caught up in the whole thing. It just seemed like for those few days, he was the person in charge, wasn't it? And that's why it seems so, gosh, when the family statement came out after Nicola was found and they slated him, it was a real, gasp moment as far as I was concerned.
Actually, someone, quite a few people have said, you were being set up to become the scapegoat here. And it's very clear that's what happened, because at any stage, the senior...
But set up by who? Set up by who? I don't think he was a bit set up by the police. I honestly don't. I think the police were just totally inept. They did it all wrong. But who was he being set up by? Makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Investigating officer, any police officer could have said to me, Peter, please stop talking to the media. On day one, I'm not going to bend the rules. I made that clear earlier. If you're on a police operation, you don't go against what they tell you. You obey the rules. I'm not one to break the rules, and these sort of you do what they say. That's it. But no one actually, excuse me, I've got an issue. No one actually told me that. No one mentioned it to me. And when they say they had to, what made me laugh? They said they had a gold command group meeting about my behaviour with the media, and then we they come down and had a chat with me.
What's the gold meat? What's the gold meeting?
It's all the senior people. And I'm thinking, why does it take a whole senior command team? And I took friends who are ex-chief fire officers and stuff. They laughed. You know, it's like, you wouldn't have a gold command meeting about me. You would just say, Peter, you just pick the phone up. Can we have a quick chat? Please don't do that. And I go, thanks. Why would you possibly have a whole command group meeting, make all the notes minutes?
Yeah, you know, reading between the lines here, it seems to me, Peter, he's mainly dealt with southern police teams, hasn't he, really? Or, you know, what do you think? And then he's gone to Lancashire Police, and they deal with things in a different way by the look of it, or they weren't happy with him in the beginning. There's a definite clash, isn't there, of the way they deal with things. He's like the, you know, old boys group, sort of, oh, just give me a ring and tell me, and they're not doing it like that. Well, not with him, because they don't know him. They don't have the same relationship with him as maybe other police forces do. So maybe that's to do with it as well. There's like this complete lack of understanding from both sides.
Just to control one little man. It's laughable, really. So you know, you can see what was happening anyway.
Well, yeah, one can read between the lines.
This is David and Goliath, by the way. That's what this is all about. It's David and Goliath, and I'm fighting everybody, you know. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Right now, if you get your findings regards to the sonar images clarified by independent specialists,
yes,
can this be used to review the case?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, if them images are confirmed, which I know they will be, this is going to blow the whole inquiry, well, the review team completely out the water, and there's going to be lots of questions to answer here, and they know that. So, and heads will roll without a doubt. I would not, if I was in charge of this review.
Well, heads have already rolled, haven't they, in one way or another? There's been retirements, there's been a death, there's been all sorts of things going on. So heads certainly have rolled.
I would have had me in as the expert to say, Peter, you know, because I felt as if I was one of the enemy. Because normally they would say, Peter, come in, tell us all about this. Tell us about your sonar. Tell us how it works. Is yours better than the police's? All your experience.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? They didn't want to know about him. He's miffed them in some reason, because yeah, you'd think they'd be grateful for the help. You know, there they are, underpaid, underfunded, under-resourced, and there comes Peter volunteering his help, and they, you know, he had been the night before, you know, slamming them on the mainstream media. Maybe he's forgotten about that, so that'd be difficult. Well, you know, imagine if you're at work and then someone's there criticizing. It'd be like me, you know, I'm a Spanish teacher, and then someone's there saying what a terrible Spanish teacher I am, and you know, have totally messed up the classes, and I've done this, that, and the other. And then the next day they turn up at my school, and I'm supposed to work next to them. You know, it wouldn't sit well, would it?
You know, I need to know for my review before we go to print, and be honest and go, do you know what, we've messed up here. And then what the public would do, as I said in my letter, they would appreciate everyone being honest and just saying, mistake. We all make mistakes. We all know that. I made the mistake.
Exactly, and I think that's exactly how we feel. And the police did own up to a lot of mistakes, and you know, they'll always. I think there were a lot of things. I'm going to go through that. Maybe on the 27th, I'm going to go through the appendices and the conclusions of that police report. Everyone did make mistakes, and of course, you know, that's it. If Peter has to admit his mistakes as well, we're all human. We all make mistakes.
Mistake of talking to the media. I know that, but we just need to be honest and say we made mistakes, and the public will go, at least they've admitted it, okay? And then we can all move forward, and then we can make things better for future operations, so loved ones don't get left laying in rivers. That's as clear as that. Something has gone badly wrong here.
Yeah. Thank you again to the moderators, doing a great job. Thank you to the chat. Can we get thumbs up on the video? I want to get to 1,000 thumbs up before this is all over. Question 31. Is it unusual? Sorry, start again. Is it usual to have dried blood on a body if she'd been in the river the whole time? Do you know much about this?
I can't comment on that. I mean, that's not my area of expertise. I mean, dried blood, I mean, we find that most of the time, because most of the people we're dealing with are drowning victims.
Here he goes, he says, oh, I can't comment on that. And then he goes on to comment about it. He just can't help himself, Peter. He's a chatty Cathy, isn't he? He's a little chatty Cathy.
To be honest. So they are, you know, you'll get blood out of the nose where the fluids come out.
Right.
And like missing divers, you know, when we had 2 missing divers at the National Dive Centre, they had blood in the mask where the pressures pushed all the fluids out. But I can't comment on that. It's not my area of expertise. We recover, excuse me. If Nicola was out, if she was out of the river in the reeds, of course she could potentially have dried blood, because any fluid would dry a bit like water. Depends on the weather. I can't comment again, but if you're left outside, then you can have dry blood on you. But I really don't know where she was found, how she was found. I really don't know, and I wouldn't want to comment on that.
Fair enough, Peter. Question 32. Did you? I don't know the specifics of this question, but you probably will. Did you contact the coroner's office?
No, I'm not going to bully my way into the coroner's inquiry. I was waiting to be potentially invited, because obviously I've given evidence a lot of coroner's courts, so on various.
Now, see, that he's saying, I'm not going to bully my way into the coroner's court. Well, he didn't have to bully his way into the coroner's court. He should have been in touch with the coroner before the inquest. This is, you know, part of the reason why I feel the way I do is he didn't make any attempt to contact the coroner before the inquest. He would have known pretty early on that if he hadn't been contacted by, I don't know, May, he wasn't going to get invited to the inquest, was he, at the last minute? So he knew. So he, and, you know, it wasn't until the College of Policing review was coming out and he got wind of the fact that he was going to get slated in this college, and that's when he started contacting the coroner. So it was too late, Peter, you know, with the best will in the world. It's not a question of bullying yourself into the coroner's inquest. It's a question of just contacting the coroner. And if he could prove that he had contacted the coroner before the inquest and said, look, I've got these sonar images. Why did these sonar images only become relevant later? Why? You know, he had them all that time and he waited and waited and waited. That's what I think, you know, what he said before, just tell the public the truth and then they will trust you. People don't like being treated like fools.
Cases. So I was hoping that I would get invited. I had my evidence prepared, you know, I'd say I'm not prepared, preparing my evidence, my files, which I would have given, and I would have, but I never had that chance to do that. No.
Okay.
Sadly.
Okay. Did you take any dogs there yourself?
No, we don't have dogs. No, we do not have dogs. No. That's not our area of expertise. Dogs. I know plenty of people who do dogs, but it's not us. I have dogs. I have my own dogs, but they're not.
I know your dogs. Top dogs.
Yeah.
Just want to say, there's a couple of. I'm just briefly now and again. I'm checking comments, and like a couple of people are saying that some comments are being removed.
It's not now and again he's checking comments. Luke is looking at the comments all the time, but there were a lot of comments removed. This was what a lot of people said. I never made it. I was watching it, obviously. Don't think there were many people who were interested in the Nicola Bulley case that weren't watching it, but I certainly never commented. But some people made comments and they were removed it, and they weren't troll comments. I saw it various times in a lot of people, you know, emailed me and told me about this, that sort of like they were a bit annoyed about that. Their comments were just immediately removed. you know, so I don't. Maybe they were a little bit too, what's the word? Too keen to remove comments. They'd obviously been told, the spanners, the mods, or whatever, had been told beforehand what to accept, what not to accept. But I think they were a bit overzealous, and I think that wasn't a lot of people who were supportive. That made them feel less supportive. So, and I think it's difficult because when you're doing a live, you know, I know it puts you off when someone comes in with like some comment that, you know, but I try to not to block comments unless somebody's actually being offensive to me or to any of the other chatters. That's a different thing. But if they're just asking, I mean, if you don't like the comment, if they're just saying, oh, well, I don't agree with that, we just let it go, scroll up, you know. It's like you don't even have to acknowledge it, you know. So I don't know why they were so zealous.
The only reason why a comment will be removed is for if you go and look into the description of the video,
yeah,
there is things that won't be tolerated. That is swearing, that is being abusive, that is accusing, that is basically not very nice.
Stop. Bad girl. Right, sorry, I'll play that again. No, never mind coming up saying sorry now. Wasn't hitting her, by the way, just banging a book on the table because we couldn't hear that. So let's go back and hear that again.
It, okay, and then we can all move forward, and then we can make things better for future operations. No, I'm not going to bully my way into the coroner's inquiry. I was waiting to be potentially invited because obviously I've given evidence a lot of coroner's courts, so on various cases. So I was hoping that I would get invited. I had my evidence prepared. You know, I'd say I'm not preparing my evidence, my files, which I would have given, and I would have, but I never had that chance to do that. No.
Okay.
Sadly.
Okay. Did you take any dogs there yourself?
No, we don't have dogs. No, we do not have dogs. No. That's not our area of expertise. Dogs. I know plenty of people who do dogs, but it's not us. I have dogs. I have my own dogs, but they're not.
I know your dogs. Top dogs.
Yeah.
Just want to say, there's a couple of. I'm just briefly now and again. I'm checking comments and like a couple of people are saying that some comments are being removed. The only reason why a comment will be removed is for if you go and look into the description of the video.
Yeah.
There is things that won't be tolerated. That is swearing. That is being abusive. That is accusing. That is basically not very nice behaviour. Insults, all that kind of stuff. So I can only assume why those kind of comments are being removed. At the end of the day, there's 50 questions here that are being asked, which the public, you guys, have asked me to ask. The live is available to go and see these questions being asked. So we're doing our very best here. I just want to make that clear. And again, thank you to everyone who is commenting well and to the moderators. Right. Peter, what outcome do you want from all of this?
Just want the truth to be told, really. I just want I've had enough of constant, you know, I got struck off the National Crime Agency.
Now, this is an interesting question. I'd forgotten about this question because this is what I wonder. What is he hoping for out of all this? Now, he's not hoping for a new investigation to find out what happened to Nikki. So let's hear what he is hoping for. Sorry about the dogs. There's a husky outside howling, and my dog's responding every now and again.
Agency database. I mean, it was very odd because I got a letter to be suspended by them initially, and that happened to find its way to the Times newspaper on the same day that the Lancashire Police handed themselves over to the IOPC for a review while they released the data. It was very well timed, and then that took the emphasis off of them, and it all was aimed at me. Expert struck off. That was the headline by the time.
You know, it's possible that they did do that. You know, that's how they do, manipulate headlines. I'm surprised he got struck off though, you know, because just for a little spat, if you like, with Lancashire Police. I mean, the police is a big, you know, it's not just Lancashire, so it's the whole, you know, national police force. To surely, why did why did the other ones not speak up for him? The other ones that he works with, strange, really.
Times, and every other paper followed it. So it was pretty sad for me, considering all the good work I'd done. And the guy who wrote me the letter years ago gave me a certificate for all the good work that I'd done for the Serious Organised Crime Agency, as it was then. It was used to be SOCA. Before that, it was the MPIA. Before that, the National Operations Faculty. And I go back many years with these people, you know, back to about 19. The guys in there, when you won't even know. You know, I've been working in search since sort of 1999, and also lecturing at the National Search Centre. I've been out to the FBI, the United States Secret Service. I've been all over. I'm highly regarded. And then it was a very sad day that you get struck off for no reason.
It does. He does talk himself up, doesn't he? He's very highly regarded. Something's happened here. I just cannot believe that the whole police force would have turned against Peter, you know, after all these things that he's saying, that they used to think of him, and now suddenly, because of this one thing, he's been struck off. So not only, you know, off the national register, so not only Lancashire Police say no, we'll never have him back here again. There is more to it. There's got to be more to it, surely. If he was held in such high regard before, what is the difference now? Why, you know, one sort of iffy case on, you know, after all the good ones. Do you see what I mean? It's like, it's odd.
No reason at all.
Yeah,
nothing. So there's a couple of personalities who I'm coming after anyway, but I will prove this. And
you've given speeches at the White House, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
You've actually, you've not been sat in the crowd. Well, you've given the speech.
My mum's picture on the wall is of me at the White House giving a speech. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You're not.
I was a guest.
Nobody.
Guest of the Secret Service. Yeah, and I've got the proof of it. And it's so interesting, Luke, that you say this. Over the last few months, you know, as I got a regular troll, he uses different names on Twitter and stuff, and he tries to discredit me. He tries to say the guy's not experienced. It's quite comical, really. And I just right click block, and I don't rise to these people. We know who he is, because I've had an IT specialist working on it, an ex-police IT man who's tracking everything for me, and it's just, you know, I don't mind criticism. I can take that. But for somebody to try and discredit my work and my team's work is not nice. You know, if you've always done what you've done is good for this country, and then to be struck off, and then that to be leaked, and then I just felt like the enemy. I feel like the enemy to Lancashire Police, and this is really sad, because all the police officers I know, they can't believe.
He does come over as the enemy to Lancashire Police, but then let's remember that the review from that is not just Lancashire Police, is it? The College of Policing. That's not just College of Lancashire Policing review. It is, you know.
They said you're just in the gun sights of Lancashire Police. They've got it in for you, and they just want to destroy you. And I'd like to know the Chief Constable's view on this, because I will be writing to them as we get into the new year. But
don't wait till the new year, Peter, because there'll be no Chief Constables left, because they're all retiring, they're all going. So who are you going to write to? You know, I don't know why he had to wait so long. That's the other thing as well, as you know. If you know, maybe I'm just more impulsive than that, but I'll tell you, if someone had dragged my name through the mud, and you know, someone, I'd be straight there. I wouldn't be waiting till the new year. Let me tell you that.
But what have I done to them? You know, why didn't they just say, Peter, let's have a chat? No one's contacted me. No one's even asked I mean, what amazes me, we left that scene and they didn't even ask us for our search report. You know, it was quite shocking. No evidence, no nothing. We were just glad we're gone. And the only reason they had us up there because they wanted to keep the public happy.
Yeah.
Although we had all the expertise, they should have just.
They wanted to keep the family happy. You know, I do think there's maybe a little bit more manipulation gone on than, he was brought in at the family's request because they practically blackmailed the police into bringing him in. The police didn't want him to come for whatever reason. So he came along and he was never wanted, he's right. And he was treated a bit like a pariah. So, yeah.
Open arms come in and said, Peter, what can you bring? Let's sit down. Let's brief the Gold Command group. Let's know what you've got.
Yeah.
Update us every day. Don't talk to the media. We want you to do this. We want you to sweep this area. You got expertise in land search. We want you to put your brain to this. You might come up with some goods for us. You don't know. Let's work together. But you don't pitch against.
Well, he's right. They should. That's exactly it. They wanted to find Nicola. They wanted to prove that their hypothesis was correct. So why didn't they sit down with Peter and say, "Come on, let's all work together on this"? It's, you know, there's so much more to this. There's so much acrimony for whatever reason between them.
Against partners that you're meant to work with, it's just unheard of. I've never been treated. You know, I have greatest respect for the police, and they are, for me, the people I worked with over the years. But they've never done this to me, and this is quite sad, really. And now I'm sort of the enemy to them. Horrible.
Yeah, you might be the enemy to a few, but you're not to the majority. Thank you to Vicky for the super chat, by the way. I wasn't able to read it.
That wasn't me, by the way.
I do see that you have.
That wasn't me.
Yeah, Peter. Yeah, like I said, you're the enemy to a few, but the majority, the majority critically think, and 99% positive is better than 1% negative.
Yeah.
35. Has every previous target found on your sonar always been correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I want to make this very clear. You can have a body laying on its side.
He touches his nose a lot. I don't think it's true what he's saying here, just because of body language. But he's saying, yeah, always. And then he goes, but. Let's see what he says.
And the body could be, if you imagine me putting my arms out like this with the sun behind me, you'll see arms on the shadow. If I stand with my arms down by my side or crouch down, you'll only see a bump, or you'll see, and I know that's a target. So, but every target we identify at work, and Nathan, one of my operators, we ping them. We ping them all the time, but sometimes you can get a target that might not look like a body because clearly this one does, but it could be laying in an awkward position where the shadow's not hit it properly. So you could get like a straight image. Yeah. You still put the diver in. This is different. This one has got the legs, the arms, and everything else. But you can measure the target and you go, well, that target's only 0.7 of a meter. And the person was 1.8 meters long, so definitely not the target we're looking for. So this is, we can see footprints on the riverbed. It's that good. We can see where previous searches have been. It's that good equipment. Yes, £53,000. That's when we bought it, and when I bought the initial one in 1999, that was £33,000. I've still got the old one. We got 3 sonar systems.
Even heavy pieces of kit as well. The quality pieces.
Very heavy, yeah. They're good. They really are top notch. They do what they say, and it is really specialist kit. But it's vital for finding people in rivers. I mean, what I've got to say is, around the UK, if you go to somewhere like Gloucestershire and places like this, you say police are searching the river. The police are not searching the river. It's lowland rescue teams who I put my thumbs up to. They're a great bunch. Cave rescue, mountain, all volunteers, don't get paid, go out in all weathers searching for people on behalf of the police and don't get paid by the police. Okay, right. These are the people who, big thumbs up to these people, because these are look them up, lowland rescue. They are the guys and girls who train. They wear uniform, and they're out looking for like dementia patients at 3 in the morning and stuff who go missing, you know, sadly. And when they search the rivers, they might be out doing a river search.
Well, thank God for these volunteers, hey, you know, that go out and do this. Thank God for them.
But they're being boats on the surface. They can't go subsurface, but they want, and some of them have got sonar devices as well. So they're really good people. But it's not the police searching in areas where, and obviously that's why a lot of bodies get left laying in rivers, because they haven't got divers. So they wait, and then 6 days later, you see police recover body 8 days later. What it is, it's floated up, and it's been washed up on a bank, and the police have gone and recovered it, or the firefighters have. And also, I will say, it's not just the police; it'll be the firefighters also searching the rivers.
Yeah.
So for the first few hours, the firefighters will be out searching, because they're there to save life if it's still alive. And then,
yeah, something that I really don't understand is because before Peter got there, that first day, first 2 days, everybody was out searching that river, weren't they? The fire service, they made a line where they did fingertip search or whatever along the bed of the river. There were dogs, there was sonar poles, there was, you know, before any of this with Peter. And really, technically, they should have found Nicola right there, shouldn't they? She should have been found because it wasn't that they just left her and never didn't search from the beginning. By the time Peter arrived, they perhaps weren't searching so much because they'd probably exhausted whatever resources. But those first few days, they did search. And a lot of teams, you know, you could list them all. So why didn't they find her in those first few days? I wonder if she was just literally right there. Why was she not found? So I'm still not convinced that she was ever in the river. Well, she obviously was eventually, but she was in the river from the beginning. I'm not convinced of that.
then it will get handed over, and then the firefighters will go away, and then it'll be Lowland Rescue as well, who will continue the search normally for a while, as long as they can. So yeah, people don't realise this. Good night.
Just want to thank Emily for the super chat. Thank you for being very going into detail with all the answers. This will take as long as it takes, because it's very important to get everything out, I think. Now I've got a question here, but I don't know if it relates now, because
just saying good night to my daughter a minute.
Yeah.
Yep.
A question here that I got was: have you got evidence of letters sent to the coroner? Is that what you read before?
No. Absolutely. I've got letters. Okay. We sent the letter to the coroner. We sent it. The best thing is we sent it recorded delivery.
All right.
So we sent it recorded delivery, and we never got a reply. Sad. Again, we've as you heard from the previous letter that I read out, I've been persistent.
But don't forget that letter he did not send till September. So I just want to make that clear. Just want to make this perfectly clear. That's what Pete says, isn't it? He did not send the letter before the inquest. He sent the letter in September, but he did not receive a reply.
In this, it's not something I've just made up. I've been so persistent in trying to make this happen and try and work with the authorities, but they've all just blanked me.
They've all blanked you?
Yeah.
Thank you to Jane and to Lou for super chats. Always appreciated.
Can I just let my dog out? Luke, I just let my dog out. Hang on, he wants to go back to everybody. Bear with me.
Call the nature for the dog. Yeah, so, thank you, Peter and Luke. Hope you are successful in claiming your name, Peter. Please have been inspirational throughout this case. That's from Jane Wills Art. Thank you for the super chat. 1,600 people in here. Could we get to 1,000 likes on the video? Okay, that's the super chat. Thank yous. Okay, I've got a question here. I mean, I don't think you need to answer too long, because it doesn't really relate that much to this whole case. But someone's asked, where did this all start for you?
Where did it start?
yeah, your career. But can we do that later on?
Yeah, sure.
Because it's not that relevant to this.
Okay.
But we can, when you do your timeline, we can start with where you came from. So I think everyone will understand that. Right. Okay. Right. 38. Why weren't your sonar images looked at the coroner's inquest?
Well, they were never asked for. I mean, I was going to present them at the coroner's inquest, but no one ever asked me. Excuse me. So
Now, can I just say, you say nobody ever asked him, but nobody knew at the time about, the coroner did not know that he had these images because he didn't send them to the coroner until September. Now, he said he was just waiting for the coroner to invite him to the inquest, but why would the coroner invite him to the inquest if he didn't even know about these? Do you see what I'm saying? So I don't know about this. He says he wasn't invited to show them, but nobody knew about them then.
I would have brought them up, but it would have obviously changed the whole inquest if I'd shown that data. Now, interestingly enough, PC Thackeray, one of the dive unit, they done you can Google it. It says PC Thackeray, and it's a Nicola Bully inquest video, and he done an interesting video. So he said that she would have fell in the river. No, at the bottom of the river, you've got to look. There's about a foot of water. It goes onto rocks, and even on the day, it would have been only 2 foot. It's a big rock shelf, and I got pictures of it, which I again sent to the police inquiry. And the river was very slow moving. He said she would have fallen in. We discussed this before. And he was floating down the river in a dry suit, paddling himself along, one-dimensional, because it was only being filmed from a helmet cam, from a GoPro, rather than from the riverbank. And he's paddling himself along, and he said, we searched here, and he searched there, and he said, we searched the bench area, then a subsequent day we searched there, and I think we searched down there. Now, not one mention in this video for the inquest that I found, and my team found a target right at just the other side of that island, and I dived a target identified by SGI. No mention of it. Why would you possibly do that? Why would you not mention that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying in a way, but he wasn't there to do that, was he? He was there to try and show that the body could go over the weir, which he actually did not show. But I see what he's saying. So he's saying that he should have said, "Oh, we were, told there was a target there, and we dived it, and there was nothing there, or it was twigs, or." But he didn't. No, he didn't mention it. But then Peter did not send those sonar images to the coroner before. So the coroner has done, and I have got no time for the coroner really, but the coroner has he's done the inquest with the evidence that he had or that he knew of. And if he didn't know of I suppose I'm just playing devil's advocate really. If he didn't know about Peter's sonar images, it would have been difficult for him to present them, to invite him to present him at the inquest. And, as I say, playing devil's advocate, in the coroner's eyes, Peter didn't find anything. So there was no need for him to be at the inquest. My idea of him being at the inquest was I couldn't believe he wasn't at the inquest to say that he hadn't found anything, and then wonder why then she was found 23 days later. So my idea of him being at the inquest was to prove that she was not there. But now he's saying he should have been at the inquest to prove that she was there. It's complete mind fuck, basically, isn't it? Because everything's different.
Target. You wouldn't. Now, interestingly enough, and this is another really interesting fact for people to understand. 2 weeks. Now, bearing in mind, I know a lot of people in the media. My phone was red hot. 2 weeks before the College of Policing report out, there was a closed press conference, a confidential press conference with the media briefing to brief them. They briefed the media on a target that we found in the river. Why would you do this? And told them that, just to let you know, that Peter Faulding's target, they showed him a couple of images of shadows, definitely not the body, and said, it was proved to be nothing. Why would you brief the media before the report come out? Because they were worried.
Okay.
They were worried.
Well, they probably were worried, but then that's how you got to know, wasn't it, Peter? So one of his mates in the media has obviously let him know and give him a heads up. He's hastily done this interview with Luke that, he did. But he's saying they showed him a few images of shadows, not the body. He is basically saying that the police are liars. That's what he's saying. I'm surprised the police have let him get away with it, to be honest. Because, to come out and, well, I can't really say on mainstream media, because mainstream media, he did appear briefly on it, but really, like the BBC, and, he didn't really get loads of airtime about it, did he? It was just short. He was very briefly on Sky News with his mate Martin Brunt on a short interview, but it really didn't blow up in a big way, did it? People didn't really talk about it because he's accusing the police of lying. Basically, that's exactly what he's saying, isn't it? The police are liars. They left Nicola in there. It just totally blows my mind, this whole thing. Somebody left Nicola. I think they all left it. If it's true that she was there, they're all responsible, all of them. I'm just so glad it's not. If that was my family member, I would be going mad. And then the family's not going mad. So what is going on? What is going on?
Why would you brief the media 2 weeks before the main report come out, just to make them aware before it all starts going into the media? And that was it. So it's just lots of little interesting snippets here. No mention of at the inquest about a possible target. No mention of our search. Nothing. It was completely nothing.
Very interesting. Thank you to Anna for the super chat donation there. Moving on, how do you feel now, and will you help other forces going forward?
Yeah, we will do. I mean, I think I've got to clear my name first. I think we've got to do that. We've got to get this point out. We'll always be there to help families. We always have done. I mean, one of the classics was if the people want to Google Ellis Downs, Ellis Downs Thames Valley Police. I mean, they scrapped their dive unit 2 or 3 years earlier by the Police and Crime Commissioner, scrapped it, not the force. Sussex Police got rid of their dive unit, and basically the South East had no dive units to cover at all. They'd bring the Met in occasionally, who cover London, and unfortunately, and I know Darren and Emma will probably watch this, the parents, and Darren sends me a message every year and say, I can't ever thank you enough for recovering, Ellis. It's such a sad case. We went to his funeral and he was found, he went swimming with his pals in the river like all teenagers do, and he drowned. All the emergency services turned up, police, fire, everybody, no divers, had sonar going up and down, the environment, everybody. Marine units there with special sonar, they called it. Couldn't find him. Got to day 3 and it started hitting the papers, and my wife said to me, Peter, you should go and offer your help because you'll find him. And I said, we can't just barge your way in. So we rang the force and said, can we help? And he said, yes, great. So we got halfway there and I got a phone call from the search advisor saying, turn around, go back. We don't want you here.